Up on Mountain News this morning, we remember the life and legacy of a man who dedicated much of his life expressing his passion for mountain sports. And we bring you the story of a Kentucky teen who's worked hard to finally take to the sky by earning his pilot's license.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
6 o'clock here on your Monday. I'm Dakota Makris. Good morning, and thank you, of course, for waking up with us. Let's head over to Brandon for a look at our forecast this morning. And Brandon, before you get into the weather, I kind of have a funny story to tell.
Okay.
Because I'm chock full of stories.
Hit me.
So this weekend I went to the Derby party here in Hazard, and people, when the Derby was happening, people were obviously watching it around the TV. You know what I thought? I thought, is this how people watch our morning newscast? It's just huddled around the TV.
Gathered around the TV,
just
cheering.
Like just watching.
Exactly.
The best 2 minutes of sports, and we're the best 2 hours of news.
I started saying we're a little bit more than 2 minutes. But yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's a good thought.
It's a great thought.
It's a good thought.
I know, kind of funny.
We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. All right, let's talk about what's going on actively this morning. And thankfully, no storms in our area just yet as we check live pinpoint Doppler radar, but we are seeing down to the south and west a few out there near Bowling Green. They're slowly kind of moving toward us, so we're going to keep an eye on those for you. Nothing severe, just some downpours this morning. Lake Cumberland, our furthest west county, or West Camera in our furthest west county, basically Pulaski County. You're seeing, again, not a whole lot of fog out there this morning. They had some earlier, but I think they've come back onto the other side of the fog, and you're seeing temperatures low 50s in Clintwood, mid 50s there in Hazard, Irvin, and Wise. Everybody else mid to upper 50s across the rest of the region. Get close to 60 in spots. Heading into the upper 70s today. Scattered chances for showers and storms back and forth with partly to mostly cloudy skies. The big story and the reason we're in a first alert weather day comes tonight, and I'll tell you more about that here in just a few minutes. Dakota?
All right, Brandon, thank you. Last week, we told you how Bob Howard made a big impact through the Harlan County education system. Chandler Wilcox details how his legacy as a coach will also be remembered by students and friends.
Bob Howard was an influential man in many ways in Harlan County. His passion for sports, specifically track, was next to none in the area.
If they ever think about track, at Everton or in Harlan County, his name's going to come up.
Serving as the athletic director for 10 years at Everett High School, Howard's team won numerous medals and tournaments, all without a track to actually run on.
He got into it with a fervor. I mean, he worked at it. If he loved, he got into track and he put everything he had into it.
Howard's love for sports was only exceeded by his love for people. That played a big part in bringing his teams to success.
Anything that you ever needed, he was one that would be there no matter what. And even though on past the years, that's been however long ago, I graduated in '92, but still to this, just last week, we seen him at a track meet, and he and I sit there and talk like we were, still in high school together. Those
conversations were filled with positive energy that Howard brought towards everything.
He was very well spoken, and Bob he's a high energy guy. He had lots of energy, and he had that gift for expressing himself.
Even for some of the most successful Kentuckians in high school sports, Howard was a hero. In Harlan County, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Howard's funeral was Saturday. He was buried at the Rest Haven Cemetery in Harlan County. Virginia Moore, Governor Andy Beshear's longtime interpreter at news conferences, died Saturday. Moore was the executive director of the Kentucky Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. Moore spent more than 25 years with the commission. She often translated the governor's words into sign language at his news conferences. The governor called her a rock of stability and grace during the pandemic. Her cause of death is unknown at this time. And you may have noticed some flags flying at half-staff across the state yesterday. Well, the governor issued the order to fly all flags at state office buildings at half-staff to coincide with the National Fallen Firefighters Memorial Service. The service happens every year at the time in Emmitsburg, Maryland. The governor encouraged everyone flying the American flag to participate in the commemoration. A fallen World War II soldier from Magoffin County was honored on Saturday through a road dedication. Private First Class Burl Montgomery was killed in France in 1944, and in order to recognize the ultimate sacrifice he made, The Magoffin County Fiscal Court and the Disabled American Veterans Chapter 15 unveiled PFC Burl Montgomery Memorial Road.
But what this does is it forever memorializes the sacrifice that individuals that came from Magoffin County, what they sacrificed. They gave their lives. They were a prisoner of war, or they went above and beyond. And today, with this dedication, we'll be dedicating this road to Burl Montgomery, who lost his life, and so that we can be here today doing these things.
Magoffin County Judge Executive Matthew Wireman says he hopes Montgomery's sign will also pique the interest of those driving by it to look into who Burl Montgomery was and why it's so important that the county could honor him. Well, this week marks Lung Cancer Action Week, and survivors are warning of the dangers of radon exposure. The invisible gas is a leading cause of lung cancer, only second to smoking. An estimated 20% of the lung cancer cases in the Commonwealth are caused by radon exposure, and the only way to know for sure is to test indoor air.
But radon is this toxic gas that can be so dangerous to our bodies, and we're not paying attention to it. And like you said, you can't see, smell, or taste it, but there's a lot of things that we can't see. COVID, we really couldn't see, but we feared what we knew. So why do we not fear the science and the statistics that are out there to back this up?
The EPA's numbers indicate 21,000 people die in the United States each year from cancer-causing radon gas. A national pilot shortage continues. We've previously highlighted Eastern Kentucky University's aviation program's effort to recruit new pilots, but there still are not enough young pilots to take the place of the ones retiring from the industry. Julia Sandor takes us to one side of Bluegrass Airport, where a Lexington teen is ready to take flight.
It's in the Hensley family's DNA. Hands at the wheel, checking the controls, and turning on the engine. A typical 17-year-old is on the roads, but Zach is in the air.
As a kid, I grew up around planes, and then I kind of used helicopters as a gateway into aviation as a whole.
Zach Hensley has already taken flight plenty of times with his father, Russ Hensley. Growing up as a frequent flyer, Zach took the opportunity to do it himself.
So it's flying and then ground school, so you learn about all the different stuff about the helicopter, and then the rules, the just gist of it, and then you fly and get good at the actual flying part of it.
Nearly 20 years ago, Russ Hensley was an officer in the Flying Club. Now his son is following in his footsteps.
Flying with Zach when he was probably, 6, 7 years old, and to see him do what he's doing, I never expected it.
It's a full circle moment from his first flight to now.
And I'm a helicopter pilot, and he flies it better than I am. It's I yield. He's a better pilot than I am. So it's kind of humbling.
But with a pilot shortage across the nation, the government expects more than 18,000 openings for airline and commercial pilots every year. In Lexington, Russ estimates about 500 to 600 active pilots. So although Zach is getting a head start, it's only a small piece of a bigger puzzle.
I think it's just good to benefit the aviation community. I think it needs to grow. A lot of people don't know about it.
But hard work pays off. Now, Zach will have quite a few licenses to add to his wallet before he heads to college at Eastern Kentucky University.
To see him be a helicopter pilot at 17 is mind-blowing.
In Lexington, Julia Sandor, WKYT.
World Aviation Flight Academy statistics show there are only 15,000 helicopter pilots currently active in the United States. The Hensleys encourage others to explore the career and join the fun of flying.
.09 here on this Monday morning. First alert weather day in effect, not for what's going on right now, not for what's going on this afternoon, but what potentially could be here later tonight, getting you ready early. Let's take a look, speaking of early, at the fog at downtown Hazard this morning. 54 from Triangle Park, and again, it's sinking down pretty good in the valleys there this morning. Be careful out there. Give yourself plenty of time. Temperatures 51 to 59. That is the range out there this morning. 51 in Clintwood, 59 Prestonsburg, Logan, Harlan, and Jacksboro this morning, so a fairly mild morning out there. 72 by 1 o'clock, 78 later, but the headlines for today, strong storms are possible tonight. This will be likely an overnight event, late night, overnight, so you need to be very weather aware, have a way to get those alerts quickly, but we should be drier toward midweek. Talking more about all this coming up in just a little bit. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you so much. When we come back here on Mountain News this morning, authorities down in Texas look for a motive behind another deadly mass shooting that left at least 8 people dead.